Walter, we'll enjoy it. So is all this sunshine making it hard for you to breathe?
For a lot of people it is. A doctor is here in studio to help us all survive the spring allergy season. Also talk about what you can do about your symptoms right now. All of this great sunshine has us heading outside. Everybody is enjoying the spring weather. The only downside is for allergy sufferers. This time of year, we just can't breathe. We've had a bad couple of weeks. It's actually not terrible right now. Here was some advice to get us through it, though, is Dr. Alexander Hamling. What are some of the top allergens that we deal with in the Pacific Northwest? Because I know different regions deal with different things. What are we coping with?
Yeah, so we have two main things that we cope with here. We have a lot of the flowers that are starting to open up over this past few weeks that are releasing a lot of their pollen. But we also have a lot of the ground molds that have been just dormant over the winter that are now starting to release their spores as well. So we kind of get a double whammy.
Yes, we do. All that moss that we love. All right, so what is the peak season? Are we in it yet?
Peak seasons can be highly variable year to year. A lot of it's going to depend on kind of the overall temperature, when those warm periods come in, how the winds are going to change. I think this year's been a little mild at the beginning, so I'm not quite sure we've hit the peak yet.
Not hit the peak yet. Well, we see a lot of things in bloom. I was out for a walk today, and you see flowers are continuing to bloom. So we're going to be dealing with it for another few weeks.
Yes, enjoy the flowers while you can.
Enjoy the flowers. All right, so how do we develop allergies? Is it something that happens over time? Are you born with it?
So all that allergens are is the body's overreaction to things that really don't harm us, such as the pollen in the air that makes contact with our eyes, nose, and mouth. Certainly then our body goes into this hyper-responsive mode. So we can develop new allergies and we can tend to grow out of them, and it just depends on kind of the environment that you live in and what you've been exposed to.
Okay, so if you've got them, it's a headache. We all know, the sniffling, sneezing, itchy eyes. Let's talk about prevention. What are some keys to lessening some of those nasty symptoms?
Certainly. The number one thing I recommend is that during the early morning hours, keep your doors and windows closed. That tends to be the prime time when pollen gets distributed across your neighborhood. Another thing, if you have an air conditioner or a HEPA filter, use those to really filter out the air. That's going to absorb a lot of the pollen and not recirculate it in your house. Then lastly, if you know you've been outside or gone for a walk or taking your pet outside, make sure you shower off to get all that extra pollen out of your hair and clothes and skin.
Absolutely. It'll make a difference in the long run. How about kids? How do you know? I was mentioning to you in the commercial break, I thought I had a sick kid for months. Turns out it was allergies. How do we know that our kids are dealing with allergies? Because they won't complain about it.
Right. So definitely the common cold and allergies can mimic each other very closely. When I think about seasonal allergies, I tend to think, number one, that they're seasonal. They tend to occur year after year around the same time. Their course can also be prolonged for several weeks. Often you won't see fevers, you won't see a lot of the sniffling, and you won't see a lot of the coughing, as you will more with viral infections where you can get some low-grade fever, some eye droopiness, and some extra runny nose.
So go check with the doctor if you're noticing that in your kiddo. Get them a little bit of help and relief. Finally, when should we, the grown-ups, see a doctor if we've had enough? We can't deal with it.
Certainly, yeah. A lot of times with grown-ups, they first reach for the over-the-counter medicine. So if the Claritin isn't working for you, it may be a good time to go visit your doctor, especially if you've put up with it for a few weeks.
All right, and especially since we haven't hit our peak yet, so you say. Dr. Alexander Hamling, allergist, we appreciate your time at this important time of the year so that we can cope with all the pretty flowers out there.
Great. Thank you so much.
Good to see you. Matt, back to you.
He says